Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. From UAE to a friendly Pakistan. I would like to express my gratitude for the invitation of my dearest, somebody whom doesn't know that he is my dearest student, Mr. Ambassador, and an excellent student. So he's continuing my way. Always I'm saying the student is continuing the same school of the professors. And of course, my thankful for Center for Global and Strategic Studies for this kind invitation to highlight on the experience of UAE in confronting extremism and terrorism, especially in these days. I believe all of us are vulnerable for a kind of extremist either groups or either individuals in terms of we have new phenomena, lonely wolves now we are finding. It's all over the world. And here I would like to state something which is maybe the majority are Muslims here. Terrorism has no color, has no religion. So don't believe extremism only comes from Muslims and only from Muslim countries. Because the root causes of that, it's everywhere, in all societies and in all countries. And I believe we have seen with ISIS phenomena that even if you're from Europe, from United States, from everywhere they are coming. It's not only from Muslim country. Enhancing stability, tolerance, and moderation by fighting extremism and terrorism are two basic pillars of the UAE foreign policy that evidently govern the Emirati positions over the past decades. The priority of the UAE always has been to ensure regional stability. Stability is both the cause and the outcome in the UAE approach to fight extremism and terrorism, and enhance moderation and tolerance, because there is no tolerance in the presence of the chaos. On the other hand, security and stability bolster tolerance, moderation, and development. And I think all of us remember how Iraq turned to chaos after the American invasion to Iraq. And all the Pandora boxes opened for all of kind of terrorists and terrorism. Where is chaos, there is terrorist groups. After the what's so-called Arab Spring, or we call it Arab upheaval in the region, UAE faces a new phenomenon now. This is a region which is witnessing vacuum after regional powers being weakened, like Egypt, like Syria, like Iraq. And it was obvious that some of terrorist group is taking the opportunity to hijack these countries, reaching the power in it. So that's why UAE believe that the UAE model cannot live in a region full of instability, full of terrorism. UAE believe in modernity and in stability and development and trying to give a model for others to follow, as His Excellency has mentioned. But also, UAE thinks it's impossible to defeat terrorism without defeating its radical discourse. You can, extremism is not only groups, it's a thought. So you need to have another thought, another discourse for the people. People, when they are hopeless, they have no way. I remember here an example. I was in Belgium, and one of those Belgium working in our embassy in Brussels, she was telling me about her experience with her friend. She said she's originally Belgian, Christian, and I missed her for 6 months. After 6 months, I got an SMS from her. She's saying, I am with ISIS. You know that I hold 2 master's degrees. I had no job. I was searching for a job for 2 years. I didn't get a job. Here now, I got a job, I got an income. And I converted to Islam. So this is kind of cases we find it. It's not only in Pakistan, it's not only in the Arab world, it's not only in the Muslim world. It's everywhere where people, they lose their homes. There is no future for them. That's why many of Europeans joined ISIS or other terrorists. So, in the UAE leaders' view, that there is a clear link that affirms the need to deal with extremism and terrorism. There is a common denominator that combines the narrative of extremism and extremist funding and terrorist attack. For the reason, the UAE has adopted a proactive vision towards terrorist phenomena, based on the need to counter radical discourse that provides the ideology, justification, mobilization, and polarization, all of which are the introduction to any terrorist behavior. I would like to highlight, I will not take too much of your time, but I would like to give an example where UAE works. UAE repeatedly, and I think this is, you can see it now, what I call it the sectarian bomb, exploded, and it's everywhere, and started by the invasion of Iraq. Iraq, by the way, was a secular state. Nobody knows who's Sunni, who's Shia. After the invasion, this has happened because the American thought that Shiite was humiliated by Saddam regime. In fact, Saddam regime humiliated everybody. And half of the Ba'ath party was Shia. So UAE was calling for containing the sectarian, which is basically Sunni Shiite struggle in the region. Moreover, has placed strong openness towards the previous Iraqi government led by Haidar al-Abadi and the latest visit of President Barham Saleh. I was in Baghdad end of January, and that was my second visit to Baghdad. The first visit, I couldn't contact with the people, but I was in a conference where an official Iranian beside me, he was. When we have been asked that why we don't have a normal relation, the Iranian guy, he said, because the other side, the Arabs, they don't want. We always want, but the other side does not want. So this is prevent any kind of building, a trust building, confidence building measurement. When it came to my turn, I said, I judge you by merit. In fact, what are you doing in Iraq, in Syria, in Yemen, creating in Lebanon, creating militias, which is part of terrorist group, if you would say it. And I've been in many track 2 meeting between us and Iranian and trying to solve, because by geography, by history, Iran is our neighbor. So we have to have a normal relation, but we couldn't reach because they were expressing the same officials staying in Iran. They were kind of Qasem Soleimani staying. To tell you the truth, I thought that I will be bombarded by attack from the Iraqis. Mostly they were Shia, the audience. So when I left the panel going outside, everybody was coming and greeting me, including 3 Shiite reference from Najaf, and I was not expecting that somebody from Shiite community will come and say, thank you for what you said. We are sick of Iranian hegemony in Iraq. In fact, we are in Najaf, we believe the reference it's Arab, has been hijacked by Qom. We are Arab, why you left us? Why the Gulfs, they didn't come to us? Tell you the truth, I was going to cry because I didn't expect this kind of feeling that people wanted. They said, we are more near to you than anybody. We want to be part of you. So at the end, people, when they born, they didn't choose their color. They didn't choose their religion. They didn't choose the country where they are. They're born equal. Any kind of extremist ideology, they've been got it from the environment where they are. We will never born as extremists. UAE, of course, it's not because it's my country. We adopted a strategy, internal and external. In fact, the last visit of the Pope and the first visit in the region of the Pope and signing that document, Islamic, what they call it, the brotherhood between Muslim and Christian. Religion, it's between person and God. Has nothing. You don't have to change people to what you want. We all live in the same country, but religion for God. So UAE believe in that. In terms of curriculum, this is introduced in the educational curriculum, introduced in the behavior of the people. In fact, UAE people has tolerance in their culture by default. They don't belong to any sect of those hardliner religious. What sect they belong is the most tolerant sect. So that's why also this is held. We participate in the coalition against ISIS because we believe there will be no stability. The problem that after Arab Spring, there were a vacuum in the region. That vacuum filled by 2 major powers and also extremist group, Iran and Turkey, and extremist group, because wherever there is vacuum, this extremist group goes. That's why we saw ISIS. And by the way, ISIS is not the end. We expect phenomena. If there is still a grievance in the region, if there is still Syria has not been solved, Kashmir has not been solved, Palestine has not been solved, Iraq has not been solved. Wherever there is conflict and there is grievance, there will be. I would conclude that by saying that the UAE diplomatic efforts are governed by the belief that the UAE doesn't live in an island isolated from the regional environment. Therefore, the growth, development, and prosperity of the Emirati model is linked to the safeguarding and ensuring a stable, secure, and prosperous regional environment. UAE believes that the religion should be involved in development instead of wars, conflict, and division. Thank you.